This week on RC Underground Radio, we're going to do a best of show. We're going to go back and remember some moments. And there's also going to be some items that were not in the original shows that were on the cutting room floor. And now we've taped them back together and put them into a show. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get the show started.
Welcome to RC Underground Radio.
Yes, I realize I look like an idiot with this mustache, and I'm okay with it.
The ultimate podcast that covers everything RC.
You don't need to cut anything either. You can just call this the raw, uncut episode. We can leave it at that.
The raw.
Yeah.
Are you drinking dollar store soda again? Quit spending your money on RC stuff. You can buy some name brand soda.
RC Underground Radio is your backstage pass to the RC industry. With insiders that are shaping the future of the hobby. The future of the hobby.
When we bring this guest on, I guarantee people are going to go, are you kidding me? He wrote a song.
I did.
We're going to have to end this soon, huh?
Yeah, no shit. And we're going to have to edit this.
So, here are your hosts, Dave Brinkman and Ryan Ratzloff.
I don't know what's going on with Jason here.
Jason.
Hold on, fool.
So we're booking. Somebody says, stay in Lebanon, Missouri. Lebanon, Missouri. There ain't nothing out there but steers and the Waffle House and a couple
And
hotels.
meth jacks.
And meth
Have you
jacks.
ever seen what was that Netflix show Ozark?
Yeah.
Yeah, they filmed that there.
Yeah,
Doing meth shacks and truck stops and
yeah. It was rough.
yeah.
So before we left, I'm looking at hotels, and I call Holiday, and it was $150 a night or whatever. And I look at Jason, he's going, no, don't book it, right? So dude finds this Super 8, okay? And he's like, dude, they're $99 a night or whatever. I was like, let's roll. So we start heading. Meanwhile, Jason's GPS ain't working. And Terry calls me. Now, just so you guys know, we all call Tony Terry. It's a long thing. It starts way back at Attitude, and Dom's actually the creator of all that. He's the one that calls everybody by different names. Little Dante Dom. So anyway, Terry calls me. He's like, dude, I can't keep driving behind Jason. Dude's going like 65, then he's doing 75. He's all over the place. I was like, well, whatever, man. Catch up. I'm at mile marker, whatever. So we get to this Super 8. Jay books a room. Now, this is where I have to finish this story. And Jason, I'm gonna let you take over on this, and I may have a few things to add as we go on here. But go ahead, man. Finish this story up. Finish the.
So we walk into the lobby, and it's like walking into Cheech and Chong's house. Dude behind the counter was so baked.
Yeah, he was higher than a kite,
and it reeks like weed. So whatever. We're tired. Grab our rooms. We're right across the hall from each other. Ryan goes in his room. Everything's cool. Tony and I go in our room, and it's like 30 degrees in the room.
And there's one bed.
Those aren't pillows.
Ryan comes out. He's like, hey, how many beds you got in there? I'm like, 1. He goes, yeah, let's switch.
So they go, now here's where it gets interesting. So they go in their room, and I know it's warm in their room because I was just in it. I go in mine, the room that they just entered. And yeah, it's 30. It's not even 30 degrees in there, Jay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, man, maybe something's wrong with this heater. It's one of these in-wall heaters that came over on the Mayflower. It's older than hell, just making all this noise, right? And I turn it to heat high, and I'm kind of getting a little something out of it. Well, it's all right. It's late. I don't have time. I'm not even flicking on the TV. My drawers are off. I'm getting ready to crawl in this bed, right? And this damn heater is right there by the bed. It's just making all this noise, right?
Sounds like a diesel.
Dude, my nose is freezing. Like, I'm like, man. So I literally walked down. I put my drawers back on. I walked down to the front desk. I was like, yo, homie, that heater ain't working, son. You gotta move me, dude. He's like, oh, I'm really sorry for that, right? So, traipsing up the stairs. There's no elevator in this place, so I had to carry my bag up, which weighed about 987 pounds. So I move over to the next room, get dethroned again, get in this bed, and I mean, it was the worst. Now, did you take a shower at that hotel?
Yeah.
I'm 6'1", and that shower head, I think maybe hit about 5 foot. It was so low. I'm like, how do I even wash my damn hair in this thing? But these dudes text me. They don't even tell me. See, this is the whole running thing of the week, too. Nobody tells you when we're going to leave. What time are we going to get to the track,
We just go.
And we just go. So it's 6:30, and these dudes, they're like, dude, we're leaving. I'm like, I just woke up. Sorry. Like, go ahead. I'll catch up to you guys because I know Jason drives 3 miles an hour. So I take a shower. I'm just moving along, right? And then all of a sudden I get a call from Terry, and he goes, where you at? I was like, dude, I'm like, mile marker, whatever. Dude, we're just leaving. We went to, where did you guys go? McDonald's or something?
No. So Terry not being too swift on the phone, I punch in, what the hell did I punch in? Rockford, Illinois. Okay, if I can get to Rockford, I can find my way home. Rockford, Illinois. We hop on the freeway, and I'm like, dude, we're going back to Tulsa. My phone, bing, 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 bing. It's shooting me all over the place. I'm like, I call Terry. I'm like, just get off the freeway, and we'll hop back around. So the next exit was like 20 miles away.
Oh, man.
It was terrible.
So here I am. I got to take a shower, take my damn time, and I'm already 40 miles up the road.
And we left a half hour earlier.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, you talked about how many big races that they have, or how many big races they're having, and I honestly think a lot of that it's so easy. I mean, a lot of those guys use TrackMate timing system, which is relatively inexpensive. You can carry the whole timing system around in a suitcase. You don't have to have this big extravagant setup. The transponders are cheap. You see a lot of these races are set up on gym floors. You can go down and rent the community center downtown for $100 for 4 or 5 hours and throw down a race and run 100 people through there and be in and out and gone. And you don't have to. There's no overhead with that stuff. So
right. That's a very. Good
I think
point.
a lot of it has. That's what's that?
I said that's a very good point. I hadn't even thought of. Yeah, like you could go somewhere and just set up a big race.
Yeah. With the foam click together tiles, I mean, you can have an entire RC racing operation, track, scoring system, the whole works in the back of your car. You know what I mean? It's so simple. So simple. I think it's one of the greatest. I mean, it's probably one of the best things that happened to RC racing is that one RC stuff. And to be 100% honest, I'm a pretty transparent person. So when they first came out, I was like, man, those are really, really chintzy. Like I was not a fan of them. And the only reason I got one was because me and Aaron Strebel go way back before RC racing. And so I like racing with Aaron. Aaron's like, I consider Aaron one of my better friends, Yeah. And I like racing with Aaron, and I don't get to do it much in the summer because he's at attitude, and then when I'm there, I'm racing, but then I kind of help him race direct so he can race or whatever. So we don't get to race together. So I see he keeps racing these 1RC cars. He's all talking about these 1RC cars. So I'm like, do I gotta get a 1RC car in order to race with you? He's like, I don't know, maybe. So I bought one for myself and Easton. I bought one right before Christmas. So I said, here, now I have one of these 1RC cars. Now we can race together. And that's the only reason I bought it was so I could race with Aaron, So it's like, and now it's like I could buy 50 of them things and race them every day of the week if I could. So yeah, I was not big on them when I first got them, and I got them and I got it home and I started messing with it a little bit. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. And did a little bit of research on the things that guys are doing, and it's like, oh, these are actually these are pretty legitimate. You know what I mean? And then you look and there's a big race here and there's a big race there, and it's like, oh, this is actually kind of a thing, you know? And yeah, I went down the 1RC rabbit hole pretty quick. So
Yeah. Well, we're glad you did. We're all glad you did.
Yeah.
Now you're
I
a
am
track
too.
owner, and you got one of the biggest 1RC
Yeah.
classes in the state.
Before we split the classes up, before we split up and had the crate, we were averaging like 14 to 17 1RC cars a night. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. It is awesome. So, you know, you're doing really good. We're doing good at the underground. I know there's where's some of the other tracks? I'll edit this too. I'm just losing my mind here.
Red
Stevens Point?
Zone. I know there's a couple of guys coming from Red Zone up in Stevens Point.
Right.
They got a pretty good following up there. Yeah.
Yep. There's like 4 or 5 tracks, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
In the Wisconsin area.
I think Hobbytown, West Bend, Hobbytown, Green Bay both have 1RC tracks. Yeah.
We need the Wisconsin Challenge Series or something, whatever we call
absolutely.
it. We got to get all these track promoters together. I'm putting my hand up saying, guys, gals, let's get together. Let's get together. I've got the format here using the studio. We could all get together, do a little private chat. We need to do it. And we all basically have the same rules. I don't really think there's anybody with anything really different. At least from the dirt late model and asphalt late model standpoint. You know, maybe some of the other divisions are different, but we all need to get together, whether we all get together for dinner or whatever. We need to put something together for all these racers. Could you imagine if we had some kind of traveling deal and
that'd be cool.
the amount of racers that would be there?
Yeah.
Plus guys that would come from out of town, probably, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That would be awesome. I like I said, I've always been big on that kind of stuff. You know, I've always liked that whole you know, kind of get everybody together. Kind of like to me, the like, you know, with the stock car stuff, the most fun time is anything that we race after like the beginning of September, because once you get past the first couple weeks of September, it's all specials. We go to Rockford, we go to, you know, Jefferson 2-day, and we go to Rockford for short track, and we go to La Crosse for Oktoberfest, and you know, it's like all them races to me are just so cool. It's they're all kind of, I guess you could call them crown jewels, you know what I mean? And to be able to go there, like, you know, a couple of years ago, I won Jefferson and I won the Dells in the same year. So to go to both them tracks, you know, 2 weekends apart and win both them things was pretty, it's just like, feels like it did something, you know what I mean? And this, you know, the RC race and stuff is no different. When you go somewhere else and you walk in as an unknown and you end up, you know, doing good, it kind of makes you feel good about yourself, you know, and that's really that's really what you're at the end of the day. That's what you're there to do, is to win, you know? So.
Right. And like you said, you know, we're fortunate. We have a lot of great full-size tracks that you can go and compete on, like you said. So we need to take advantage of this great 5 or 6 or 7, however many great 1RC tracks we have in the area. Not to say that other divisions can't do it too. I'm not saying that, but really haven't seen much of that. Like, you know, you don't see a series going around, you know, and you know, I guess the SR10s would have a great opportunity to do it as long as everybody does it as a stock class, or the Legends could do it as a you know, a box stock class. But you know, we have the opportunity, and we in each of our tracks seem to have the following. And what I've noticed too is everybody's like, without talking, we've all been kind of respectful of each other. You know, like I know there's tracks that run on Friday nights. You know, we just run once a month on a Saturday. You guys run on Sundays. It's like, it's just naturally like we're not trying to compete with each other, right? And so it seems like there's just a natural kind of connection there. We just all haven't talked. And I think if we did that, we could all come together with something great. So I'm going to challenge the racers. When you're watching this episode, and I'm gonna make this into a short and put it on the RC Underground Radio's Facebook.
There you go.
I want you guys to respond. I want you guys to blow it up that you want to see all these Wisconsin 1RC organizations get together and do something really big for 2025. Just let us know your thoughts. We'll do it over the winter because, like you said, we got a lot of guys that race real cars. Oops, I did it. I said it. Real cars.
Easy.
Edit. Edit. Full-size cars, along with the 1RC cars. And let's see if we can't do something special, man. I definitely be involved in with RC Underground Radio if we pull something like that together. That'd be super fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Folks, are you looking to have half of the enthusiasm Hunter Carey has up on the driver's stand? Or are you looking to look like me walking around the pits in my cool RC Underground Radio merch? Well, listen. I'm sorry to say that Carpies can't work miracles in those departments. But there's good news. The folks at Carpies can definitely help you become the ultimate toy car nerd. How do you ask? With their custom wraps and a killer collection of official RC branded merch. So while they can't promise to shave a 10th off your lap time, they can save you 10% on your next order with promo code RCU10 upon checkout at carpies.com. That's CARPYS.com.
Papa Willie's Traction Tonic has been curing poor traction since 2016. The name says it all. If you're not popping wheelies, it's not Papa Willie's. Papa Willie's has become known across the United States on dirt oval to off-road, asphalt to concrete, carpet to hardwood, and so many other surfaces. Papa Willie's continues adding to their lineup with tonics for cold and hot weather, loose dirt to high traction, dry dirt, wet dirt, clay and abrasive surfaces, along with anti-drag bearing oil, tire cleaner, tire glue, pit accessories, and swag. You can find the complete Papa Willie's catalog at www.papawillies.net. Prepare for victory with Papa Willie's Traction Tonic.
Be sure to use promo code RCUR for 10% off your next purchase at Papa Willie's. Yeah, I mean, just when you started out the interview and you were talking about, working on your own cars, I was just going to say at that point, wow, this is great. She's just a go-getter. Like, she loves her parents, but I can do this. I got this. I can do this myself.
Yeah.
Now the whole story is starting. Now all the dots are connecting, right? You're just a very self-motivated person. That's very inspiring that you do that. So, yeah, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That's great. So, okay. But all right, now we're ready for Chili Bowl stories. We need some Chili Bowl stories. Don't hold back anymore. We want to.
Wait, are you going to tell you about how many times she lapped me on the track? I don't even think we ran in a heat race together.
You did say in Justin's interview that you raced him in heat races in B mods, so we had to have been on the track together.
I'm sure we have, yeah.
So where would you like me to start? I can start with the first Chili Bowl, the second, or the third.
Put them all together.
Yeah. All right.
We get paid by the hour, Delaney, so it's fine.
Yeah, we're not going
fantastic.
anywhere.
Well, how about let's start with what I consider the funniest. Me passing out on the driver's stand in the middle of the main right before I won.
Okay, let's go there. How does
Let's
this
start with
First of all, were you okay? Let's just set that ground. You were okay. All right, now we're ready for the story.
So a little backstory about me. I grew up with some medical issues. I had a seizure disorder when I was younger, and now I have something called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome. It's a fairly rare but being more recognized medical disorder. It's been kind of a struggle to get some medical help, but I manage my symptoms and work through it, and I can be the overachiever that I am without letting it stop me or ending any of my hobbies or anything like that. But once in a great while, it likes to sneak up on me, like it did the first year at the Chili Bowl. I had just kind of a bad week overall. Couldn't get my car to handle. It was just, I was really bummed because, it's my first year racing at the Chili Bowl, my second year racing overall, and I was already really intimidated about going and being the worst person there. And I was having a bad week, and Will and my dad were standing underneath me, and they're like, give it your all. This is your last race. After this, tomorrow, we're going home because, Friday we raced the lower mains. I was like the last main. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to race the best race I can race. And if I put it all on the track, that's the best thing that I can say. And when I go home, I can still be proud of how I did.
Absolutely.
And sure as shit, I am leading the race about 90% of the race. It was a fantastic race, the best race I've ever raced. And because of the Chili Bowl and the atmosphere, I had met so many people and made so many more track dads. I mean, Murphy was a great person to know. There's just so many people that I got to know from the RC community that I had never met before, that I considered really good friends after spending a week with them. And so Scotty's up there. This is my first year at the Chili Bowl. I'm finally doing well. He's screaming. He's like, she's going to take it for the win. He's up there just doing his fantastic job that he does. And 30 seconds into the race, I was doing so well already that I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. This is gonna be bad. I almost pulled off 30 seconds in because I could feel it already. And I was like, nope, this is your race. You are here to win this race. You are going to stay through it. You're going to stay awake. You're going to be fine. This is going to be fine. Well, my dad was standing underneath me, and he looked up because, the Chili Bowl, you got your pit crew underneath you, and he saw my face was completely ghost white. I had no color in my lips, no nothing. And he's like, ooh, oh boy. So he comes up on the driver's stand. I didn't even know he was behind me. I was that laser focused into the race and trying to block out Scotty. And I could see more and more people coming up to the side of the thing because, Scotty's up there yelling.
Yeah.
And I was heading for the final lap into turn 4. And at the time, the track had like a little lip and a berm. And I hit the berm. And that's when my lights just went because my brain panicked, and I held on to the trigger and still finished third. So just so close for that bump, but I finished third. And as my car was spinning, my mom looked up to see where I was at because my car just went out of control and everybody was looking for me, and I just wasn't in the driver's stand anymore because I was on the ground with my dad. I think it's funny that I passed out. The next year we put Sleepy on my car. But the really amazing thing about me passing out at the Chili Bowl was the amount of people that sprung into action the second my dad said I passed out. My med bag was in our truck outside, so Murphy booked it to the truck to run and grab my meds. It was like a conveyor belt of people chucking my meds because, medical issue. I've got a baggie full of my emergency medication.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten my medication in me that quickly. It was amazing. And I am so thankful for everybody that was there to be able to take care of me the way that they did and understand hey, and that it was just some of the best things in the world that happened that day. Cause it was like, I ran a hell of a good race. I was super proud of that.
Yeah.
I get a funny story to tell. And, it solidified that bond that I thought I had with everybody there. It was like, okay, these are my family now. These aren't just some guys that I head to a track every year with and hang out. Matt and I message on a regular basis now. And everybody at the Chili Bowl is truly family.
Yeah, it's so true. Last year was my first time there, and went with some very good friends, but I made so many great friendships. Just like you, there are people you come away from Chili Bowl and you're like, this is family now, and and that's so cool. Kudos to your dad for recognizing that, right? So he could be there, because as I'm sure the rest of the drivers were just ultra focused on their race. Sucks that happened, but you still finished third. Not bad.
Right? The guy that won he walks up to me after I was sitting back at our tent, just like breathing and drinking water as much as I could. He walked up and he's like, I feel bad that I took that win from you. He's like, I feel like I shouldn't have won that. And I'm like, no, fair and square, you won that. That's on me, bro. You're good. I appreciate you, but
Kevin, when you're running with all these guys, like you said, you run with a bunch of these guys week in and week out in Texas. I know, for myself, when I go to a big race and I get in the A main, I still get that flutter of excitement when you're standing on the stand. When you're racing against these guys week in and week out, do you not get that as much, or is it still? I mean, you're at the Chili Bowl to AMA and your heart's going.
Man, it just depends. There's some races it's like, all right, I got to focus. But, some races it's like, all right, I got this. But like Chili Bowl, it was, last year I didn't make the main. We struggled big time. So this year when I made it, I don't know, I knew I was starting second, and so my goal is just to win the deal. And, that's where your mindset has to be at that race. But, I've ran elite dirt oval series races at Taylor Park, and that was a pretty big one. And that was the one that I got pretty nervous at.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Racing toy cars, and you're up there and your heart's beating 180 beats a minute, and you're like, holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was last week, just racing a 1 RC car. I had a traveling all weekend, and I know we tease it. We call Ryan G main, which we can't do that anymore because he's making A's and B's now. But I'm going to start calling myself 3 main because I can't do better than third place in an A or a B. For the last 2 weekends or 3 weekends, I've been racing. Third. Every race I finished, I was either third and didn't transfer from the B to the A, or I made it to the A. Yeah, and I finished third. So, yeah, I just got to change my car number to 3, I guess. I'm always interested about that conversation. Like, why do some tracks make it and other tracks don't? Now, you brought up a key point, and let me know if I'm getting this right. Are you saying there's too many classes?
Definitely too many classes overall. I think, like, if we have, 12 classes here, 8 or 9 of them are access classes. I'm all for beginner classes, but I don't think there's a need for 8 of them. So I think that's a lot of what, if tracks are doing that, I think that's what's killing them.
So it's that then there's only 4 or 5 in a class. It goes on till midnight. Yep. I'm assuming that's some of the issues where you could consolidate some of this stuff. Sure, it's not going to be all big fish in a little pond in 7 of the 8 divisions. Guys are going to have to race for it. Yeah, the promoters getting nervous that, if not enough people are winning, they're not going to come and we're going to lose them. So let's slice the pie really thin, and everybody can be a hero. Am I kind of on target with that? Is that what's happening?
That's exactly right. I'm all for, spec classes, cheaper racing, but there's just certain points where it's like, okay, this is too much. We have Mud Boss and Tree Stock, in my opinion, they're, a stepping stone class. They're one of the cheaper classes. They're pretty much stock. I think they're a class where you start out in and, move your way up. I just don't think there's a need for, Bandit Sprint Car, all this other stuff.
All right, so we want to welcome to the show Justin Haley. Justin, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. I've been playing hard to get for some time now. I know you guys have been wanting me on, and then we had intentions to do it in Chili Bowl, and then obviously Chili Bowl gets busy. So I texted Ryan last week. I said, hey, let's do it before the season starts up, because if we didn't do it now, I don't think I ever would have.
Yeah, things are going to get a little hectic, and you're right. Chili Bowl was very hectic. I know, for me, not being the most experienced driver, it was still a lot of work in between rounds. And you and I both ran the same divisions, and there was a big time gap there, but you were busy. You had a lot going on, with your cars and everything. So let's talk about the classes you ran, and we can talk a little bit about that driller in just a minute.
Yeah. So, I've probably been in the RC industry for, I don't know, 3 years, maybe 4 at max. I feel like growing up, I always wanted to do RC cars, and I just thought it was cool. And then probably 2020, 2021, I really started getting into it and realized there was a loose dirt oval right here, not 10 minutes from my house, which was Race and Rays at the time. So I went over there during an open practice night, and thought it was pretty cool. I just had a slash street stock, super street, which is still really what I run. I just love the class. And I've raced there a little bit. I've ran at Bump and Run a few times, which is not too far from the house. and then I've ran at Murph Dog's place, which is a carpet oval indoor. So for me, I don't have a lot of time to race RC cars other than the weekly show at Race and Race. So it always intimidated me to go out there, and that might sound crazy, just because what I do every weekend, but it's intimidating. I'm sure you've learned this, that I have to do everything 110%. I can't do anything at less than 100%, or even close. So I've been wanting to go to the RC Chili Bowl for so long, and I always talk myself out of it. I always talk myself out of it for some reason, and I talked myself out of it this year. And I had planned to go to the Gateway Dirt Nationals with my modified. I was super excited about that event. Been trying to go to that event for a long time, and it got to the week of the race, and I actually haven't really publicly said anything about why we didn't go, but you have to run mufflers because it's an indoor race. So we took the headers off the car to weld mufflers onto the headers, and we found really bad corrosion and the motor. So I made a call. I was like, hey, like, we probably shouldn't go. So I didn't race Gateway. I know that this is off topic, but it's so on topic because so we didn't go to Gateway, and I was like bummed. I'm sitting at home all December, and I had already entered for the Chili Bowl, but I didn't know if I was going or not. So I was like, you know what, I'll go. I haven't raced anything since Phoenix in the Cup car. I was going to go to Gateway, but we're going to Chili Bowl. So I made this decision like December 23rd. And I'd already entered, like, but I talked myself out of it. You enter so early, and then there's so much time. So I'm like, well, I should probably order cars or something. And I've always been fascinated with the X-ray stuff. And so I entered into street stock, entered into SCB mod because I've never ran anything other than a / mud boss, a / super stock. I ran a late model out at Race, loose dirt late model, 2 or 3 times. Max Floor built a car, and I just kind of ran it just for fun. But so I was just like, cool, like, I'll do the beginner classes because I've never really raced anything and in RC, and I really didn't know what to expect. And Murph Dog and Max are like right here. I race against them every week, and I mean, they just blow my doors off. So I'm like, well, I can't do the class. If everyone's like Max and Murph, then I can't do the classes they run. So I should probably get in a class that probably is more my speed. So back to December 23rd, I ordered X-rays, ordered the bodies. I was scrambling to try to find a B-mod body. Thankfully, MR Customs had one, and then, got on the Shark RC website, ordered a smoke screen, and then we were off. So I called Murphy up, and I'm like, hey, I need help. I need to do something because I have no idea. I mean, I've ran some associated B-mod stuff, but again, very fascinated with the X-ray stuff, super adjustable, and it just looked like good quality. So went to Murph Dogs at like, you know how Murphy operates. It's all like midnight oil type situations. So, I mean, I go over there, in the depths of the night with these 2 X-ray boxes and some wrenches, a 2.0 and a 2.5 and a 7.0. And I'm like, hey, let's do this. And he was building his own Chili Bowl cars. So he was just kind of giving me advice. Like, I was just building it by the book.
Yeah.
And then, like, he would kind of watch out of his corner of my eye me do something wrong, and then like kind of shake his head and come over. I didn't know like the turnbuckle thing where you have to run it. You don't have to, but you kind of run it on the device to pre-thread the turnbuckle. So learn that. So anyway, I loaded all of it up, and we went to Chili Bowl. We had a great time. So yeah, like 2 weeks before I decided I was going to go, and that was that. It was like a rush build. So I was just trying to throw it together to get there, and then you drive 15 hours across the country to get there, and
Yeah. Toothpicks in your eyelids, trying to keep them open, and then you got a car that you're struggling with. The thing is, you talk about those X-rays, and Jason Malecki and I afterwards, I'd done a little bit of research on them because I'm a lot like you. I love the technical side of it. Those X-rays are just built so darn well, and there's so many more adjustment points. I mean, they call it like the associated slop. There's none of that with an X-ray chassis. I've gotten my hands on a few of them, and that's definitely the next car I build. Now, will I be any faster? Probably not. But they give you so much more adjustments to them, and I think that's a really good choice of chassis. And you obviously made it work. I mean, that street stock. It's funny. Jason and I were kind of following you, in terms of how you were looking lap times and all of that. You were never the fastest car out there. You were the most consistent. You avoided all of those wrecks. I mean, street stock was a pretty rowdy class, in my opinion, at Chili Bowl, especially being, that one groove, the track really drying out quite a bit.
It was tough where we were. We were always right after track rebuild, and it seemed to be like that in B mod too. So it was tough competition. Drake was tough. I mean, and the worst part about it is I didn't race Drake till the feature time.
Yeah.
I mean, with how the format is, I never raced him, and you don't know how he's going to drive you. You don't know how the other competitors are going to drive you. You don't know how they race because you haven't raced with them. So yeah, no, I mean, it was obviously a pretty successful week. I know, on the drive out there, I took some buddies because we were having fun. I mean, they didn't race. I just kind of was like, hey, like, let's go out there and drink and have fun. And, my wife had gone to Florida for a little bachelorette trip. So I took the boys out to Oklahoma, and, they were like, well, what would be a good week? And I'm like, well, I think a heat race win would be pretty cool, know? And low, and then here we are sitting here. So, I don't know if I could do it again, but, kind of circling around, I put so much into this, I mean, you kind of saw, you would stop by and check, and, I think I get read the wrong way a lot of the times, because I'm super quiet and my brain is always turning. I mean, you see some of those people that just don't speak a lot, but you can kind of see through their eyes that their wheels are spinning. And that's kind of me to a T. So if you just kind of see me like off and around, I probably don't say much just because I'm in deep thought. And, of course, my wife, Haley, struggles with the same thing with me, or I'll just say something out of the blue and she'd be like, am I supposed to know what you're thinking? Yeah. So a lot of times I get read wrong, and I'm kind of a shy, reserved guy, and especially kind of in my position, you don't really know if someone has a preconceived thought of you or what you're about or your values or anything. But my whole deal is, and especially going to RC Chili Bowl, is I just wanted to bring value to it. I'm obviously not the biggest star in the world, and at the end of the day, there's a point in your professional career where you grow up as a kid racing, and all you do is race, and you love to race, you love the competition. There's a point in all of our careers where it's not so much about that. There's a lot more you have to do. You have to retain sponsors, keep sponsors, and there's professionalism to it. Doesn't mean I'm not having fun, but it's definitely a different level. And what I've found in RC racing, and especially the week of Chili Bowl for majority of it, is that I was just a guy that was the same as everyone else, and we were racing, we were all on the same level. I loved just competing, and that's probably the most people I've talked to at a racetrack in a decade, just because of the atmosphere of RC racing, and that's what I love, and that's why I've kind of grown fond to it. Yeah, I feel like it does also help me with some of the big car stuff with hand-eye and just mechanical thinking, but RC racing is so low pressure to me that it has brought the fun back into it, and I really enjoyed my time and hanging out and talking to people, and that's why I love it so much. That's why I'm starting an RC track. I don't know if you guys know, our local dirt oval closed down, and Ray came to me and was like, "Hey, I don't want to leave everyone else hanging. Will you start a track for me?" And I was like, "Sure thing." So I have Dark Horse Race Club. We're still in the beginning phases of it, but it's going to be a covered, not enclosed, but a covered loose dirt oval. And I just want to bring value to the sport. I probably had 20 or 30 people throughout the whole week come over to me and say, "Hey, like, I had no idea this existed. I was in the Big Chili Bowl. I saw your social media, and I thought I'd hop over here." And that's what was cool to me, is I was bringing value. And then also, throughout the week, you don't know this, David, because you weren't there, but by the end of the week, I had almost every kid in that building had a JH hat on. I was branding every single kid in there, and
Nice.
it kind of started with one, and it was two, because I use my merchandise trailer is what it is. So when I go dirt racing, big car dirt racing, I have merchandise and I sell it. Well, I had only cleared out half the trailer, and all the hats and things were still in the trailer. So, a kid came up and was like, wanted a picture. And so I was like, oh, I'll give him a hat. And then he started wearing around. And then by the end of the weekend, it had to have been almost every kid had a JH hat on.
Every kid had a JH. She was right.
I'm going to shut up, eat a Snickers, and just learn.
Right. So with that, we brought in one of the best in the business. We got Ricky Diaz here to help us out here. We got our co-host, Jakey Bolter. Jakey, join us as well. Great.
Jakey.
So, Ricky.
Yes, sir.
Take us under your wing. Take us under your wing, brother. Explain
this
awesome hobby.
You got to start, there's 4 wheels.
So ready to run cars. I don't have a problem with them. I think I was talking pretty good about them for entry level. So if you want to go entry level car, ready to run, you're already pretty much. I'll give you a base like I show this. This is pre-built, but basically you would get a chassis like this, pretty much all plastic. It's like a polycarbonate. That's what they call it, but we call it a plastic fantastic because they actually work just as you can get some of these plastic, regular base chassis to work great. So you're looking at a roller here without wheels, but this is a roller, your typical roller. This is actually the top dog everyone's wanting right now. It's the Rev D RDX. This is actually a kit, but ready to run. It would look like this with a set of electronics on there, like a budget-friendly style of electronics, and then you got your just regular ordinary controller. Now for the guys that are really wanting to dive deep into it, they know that they're gonna stick with it. Maybe they've ran a ready to run, like a friend's car, and then people try to persuade them. I always tell those guys, go with your gut feeling for sure, because if you're into buggies, or if you race or anything like that, and you know how to build, you're gonna want to build. So it can go both ways. So there's no right or wrong way with that, because I know that ready to runs, as soon as you get them on the track, it's pretty much ready to go. You don't have to fix nothing. You don't have to tune nothing. And they keep up pretty well. And for a good price, you're getting everything you need.
Jake, you came into this hobby as, someone who's seen it from the outside and said, this is pretty cool. I want to get in. So how did you get started, and how long do you feel it took you to really enjoy the hobby?
Oh, it was the first time I drove it. It was a blast. But I found it on YouTube. I seen some videos, and I just did a bunch of research and tried to find stuff. And then actually I went on a Facebook group and just typed in RC Drift Milwaukee. And I found some great guys here that got it set up in a basement, and went over there, hung out with them. I didn't even know these guys. I met them randomly in a Facebook group and just started racing RC cars in a basement. Sound familiar, Brakeman? Yeah, those guys are so cool. Welcome me in. Hey, what are you running? Let's go. Let me help you tune it. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And kind of touching in on the tunes. Everybody's style is different, so everybody's tune's different. So You know, if you drive three different people's cars, they're all going to handle different. But when they all get on the track, because of everybody's style, they all keep up with each other. So tuning is pretty important with them. And that took, man, I bet 2 years to actually dial in a good tune. I started with a real cheap car, a Sakura D4. That was a bad idea. Great car. It was cool to get into the hobby with, but that was a rough one to tune. I don't even think they make that chassis anymore. I think they're on the D5s, maybe even D6s now. Now I run a Yokomo, the EX, with a bunch of aluminum upgrades, and man, it's way different now.
So you agree with Ricky in that you should probably kind of maybe a little bit higher end, mid entry level type stuff there.
Yeah, it's just quality. The MST, that was a great one out of the box. I ran one of those, took it out of the box and ran it, and it ran very well, just with stock setup.
So here's a question for you guys. When I see video or I see pictures, like, it's the scenery too. It looks like the authenticity. Yeah, the scale, the authenticity, buildings and the way the streets look like real streets. I mean, I've seen some video where you guys follow the cars around with the video. I mean, it's unbelievable. Would you say that's as much the motivation in the hobby as it is building the cars and driving them?
These guys at some of the tracks are getting so detailed to where they're getting to this. How we do scale bodies, they're legit doing their track to the scale track, I just got back from Chicago. So we did Tuner Galleria Chicago. We make our own track, right? And Shadow Circuit put that on, and they're out of Chicago. Well, afterwards, we went to their place. I've been there before, but we got to go with it. It was more of a private session. It was really, really good and really, really nice. But it's a mockery of a drift track in Japan called Mini Mayhem. Well, there's a Mini Mayhem, but it's Mayhem C-Course. And when I say it's to the T, like, they have it scaled out, like, as if it was scaled down. And it's a cool experience to do. It's a different style of driving. If you're used to, say, flowy tracks and just getting around, this is really get down. You're throwing down really hard, and it's very comp style, but it's very fun at the same time. So I would say that getting into, like, drifting, even real drifters seeing that stuff, it gets actual drifters wanting to do RC drifting. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
You see Justin Pollock out there, and he's has his son out there drifting. That's a pretty cool sight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is somebody that I know you've been wanting to hear from for quite a while. We're super excited to have him on. It's the one, it's the only, Ron Peacock. Ron, thank you for coming on the show tonight, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really do appreciate it. There's a couple things I want to do. Is I want to promote the Peacock's Pepsi, Diet Pepsi. It's the Peacock's One Unlimited Garage. Harpies has nothing on the Peacock's Limited 1RC.
The most expensive can of Pepsi out in the world. I don't know what you had to do to get the licensing and all that stuff set up, but man, there's anybody that can do it.
The list is long but distinguished.
Yeah. Speaking. First off, Ron, it's always good to see you, and I really appreciate you taking time to be here. But
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, how are you doing, buddy? Give us an update. Like, how are you?
Well, I got to tell you, I went into hospice care last May, as you guys know, and what a blessing it's been. I don't have to go to the hospital anymore. No more doctor's appointments. They handle all my medication. And it's funny, they say, you're going to be here. It's okay, because you're degrading. And that's what you're not improving, you're degrading. So that's it. I told my high school teacher, I shared with him, I said, man, those angels' voices are getting loud. I'm coming around the fourth turn and I see the checkered flag and those angels are singing away. And each day they get a little louder and louder. But, I have good days and bad days. It's been a rough week. this last week, not this last week, last couple of weeks. I got all the cars together that I'm going to leave for Rhonda and my grandkids, and they're all set and they're all excited. They go, God, Grandpa, when can I have them? I say, not until I'm gone. But when are you going to be gone, Grandpa? I want to play with my cars.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know that they'll be near and dear to them.
Yeah, so it's good. I was able to build up 3 Losi 1/10 cars, and I because of my former days as a private investigator, I got to know the California Highway Patrol really well. So they gave me one of their retired radar guns. Yeah, and may have been a radar gun they caught me up on speeding a few times, but it's okay. And I brought the car. We got a nice quiet street that I live on, and so I've been racing these 1/10s up and down the street. It's asphalt, clocking 37 miles an hour.
Dang.
Right on, buddy.
So it's like I may have lost some of my touch, but I still got part of it there too.
Yep. You still feel the need for speed.
Yeah, you just broke the theory of the older I get, the faster I was. It sounds like the older you get, the faster you get.
Well, I got to tell you, the only thing that goes fast in my life is the stuff flying out of my wallet, and it's not moths, it's the green stuff, And,
yeah,
right.
But
that's the hobby we're in, right?
Yeah, I got to tell you, I want to put a shout out. This man doesn't need a shout out because everybody knows him and admires him. And Matt Murphy, he sent me a note the other day. He goes, "I need an address so I can send a bunch of RC controllers." And he sent me out, I think, about 15 controllers with receivers. And what I was able to do with it is able to keep those and put them with the 11 cars I have for Rhonda. And I also want to give a huge shout out to my bride. She is just, I can't imagine going through this without her. She's just, there are no words. The woman is truly remarkable. She has just self-sacrificed. She's cried with me. She's laughed with me. She's laughed at me. That comes easier to. But she's just been there the whole time without any question.
Your impact on everybody has changed our lives. Your daily devotionals. I can't even tell you, just for myself, I know the same for I know for Nick Ciccone and others. You send the right message on the right days. There's so many times I've shaken my head and I'm like, I can't believe this is what Ron sent today because I needed this. I needed this. And
same.
So just appreciate that. And just the consistency, like you get to a point where you're like, gosh, I really need it today. Boy, I hope it, and bang, there it is. There it is every day, same time. Fantastic. Just fantastic.
Well, Ron, you talk about Rhonda, and I think the adage that says behind every man is a good woman. She's a great woman, right?
Absolutely.
It's good that she gets some time to spend with family, and I'm sure she'll come back with recharged batteries and open arms.
Oh, yeah, she'll put me right in line like a great drill instructor.
That's right.
She calls me on FaceTime. Did you take your pills today? Did you eat today? Yes, honey, I did.
She's the boss, applesauce. Remember that now.
She's awesome sauce,
Yeah, you bet.
There you go.
But,
you go.
We talk about, the 1RC, and that was my entry into the sport. But I think is one thing we have to look at is we reflect on how much 1RC has grown. It's massive. I mean, I see people every day. Are there more asphalt late models available? When is this back in stock? And so you know that the sport is going on strong. And when I go to local hobby stores, I see them out of stock on cars and parts and all of that. So it tells me that the stuff is selling, right?
Yes.
But as I sit and I peel back the onion, I don't think, and I mean this, I don't think 1RC would be as big as it is today had it not been for you.
Wow, thank you.
And the reason being, Ron,
is because you made it easy for guys to get into the hobby, to buy reputable cars at a very reasonable price, and you service them well. And I think that kind of contributed to really the growth of the hobby, because there are people today that run your cars that they bought from you 2-3 years ago.
That's
so
exciting.
it's I don't know. For me, I reflect on that, and I think you're always going to be the big papa or the grandfather of One RC. You know, they came out with some great cars, but you were the guy that just made it easy for everyone.
You know, I was looking at Matt's April Fool's thing, and it was about 45 cars with my name on it.
Yeah,
you know, and that's pretty neat. God, I'm just a little, not a little guy, but I'm a big old guy out here in California, out on the the left coast. But I'm just really so thankful that there is a medium out there that has allowed me to connect to so many people.
Yep.
You know, you two are thicker than brothers to me. You know, and I can't even. I know that I could call anytime and just say I'm having a hard time. I am just I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to be able to do these things, and and I don't want it all about me, guys, because it's not all about me. There are so many other facets that have brought things to what it is, and I just, I'm maybe the conduit that allowed some of that to happen. We will talk soon. Take care, guys. Thanks for everything.
So on behalf of RC Underground Radio, we want to thank everybody out there for being on the show. We want to thank Carpies. They are our title sponsor, and we're so proud to carry that on our merch. Don't forget our merch on a mission. Buy that merch so that we can help support the hobby. We can do things that like Ron Peacock does, right? We can go out and help and support this hobby. So again, thank you so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the RC Underground Radio Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your fellow racers about the show. Tune in again next week for more RC content.